All right, we're going to kick off the next panel. It's going to be about trends in AI. First, again, let's make an introduction. Tell us a little bit about yourself and the project that you represent. The microphone's on. You can also do it.
Hey, my name is Karthik. Super excited to be here. So I'm the strategy lead at Aethir, mostly working for special initiatives like the node sale, token launch, 100 mil eco fund on the AI agent side and all that. For Aethir, we are an enterprise-grade decentralized cloud compute infra, mostly focusing on GPU compute use cases in gaming, AI, serious business, Web 2.5 with 110 million in ARR. Token is live ATH, healthy at like around 1.5 2 bill FTV. Yeah, super excited to be here.
Hey, I'm Shlok. I'm the founding team member at Mira Network. I look at everything, ops, marketing, any initiative that we are doing, launch, etc. And at Mira, what we are trying to build is we're trying to make AI more reliable, right? So right now, in its current state, AI is kind of hallucinates and has a lot of biases. We're trying to fix that by building a verification consensus layer on top of it.
Hi everyone, my name is Lei Lei. My background is I come from more of the traditional finance world, but have been in the blockchain space for 5 years. And most recently I was head of business development at Near Foundation and joined Kite AI as head of business development about 5 months ago. We are building a layer 1, it's currently launched on Avalanche, as well as a new consensus mechanism, which is called proof of attributed intelligence. Which essentially just allows for attribution, provenance, and fair rewards back to different AI contributors on the chain.
Hi, my name is Ed Roman. I'm a managing partner at HackVC. We're an early stage crypto venture capital firm. We focus a lot on crypto AI as a category to invest in. Back some of the kind of like leading protocols in the space, including like IO.net, Zero Gravity, Berachain, a bunch of other interesting protocols. My background is I actually have done a lot of AI in my career in the past. I used to run a game studio where we used AI to understand the Nintendo Wii motion controller, making video games. And I'm kind of like a 3-time entrepreneur, had a few exits, and now I'm trying to give back and help other founders. So that's a little bit about me.
Hi everyone, I'm Mihir. I lead product at Spectral. At Spectral Labs, we are basically building a platform where if you're a dev, you can come and build an autonomous agentic company. So you can build your own agents, get them to work with each other, form a company, provide some real utility to the users, and launch it on our platform.
Hey everyone, I'm Kamesh. I'm one of the core contributors of Openledger. Openledger is a next-gen blockchain network for AI. So from data contribution to build a specialized language models and then do a proof of attribution and rewarding the user based on the usage of the data inside the model. So that's what the entire infrastructure what we offer.
So also quick for the panel, like what is the top trend that you see that is getting the most adoption on decentralized AI currently, or that you think is the most promising? You can just pass it through. And
I can go. I think we are at a very interesting time in the entire AI and crypto space. I think what started in October was truly remarkable, where for the first time agents started getting access to on-chain wallets, and agents started going berserk, and you saw so much engagement coming out of these agents. But I think now we are at a point where we are realizing that building a single agent and like scaling it vertically actually doesn't do much apart from creating like engaging Twitter content and giving you thoughts and insights. If you want agents to actually do something for you and provide you utility, you're going to need far more than that. And you're ideally going to need multi-agent systems where multiple agents specializing in different things can come together and actually help you out and do those things. So I'm totally excited for it. Like at Spectral, we are building solely towards this. Like we are building a framework that allows you to build multi-agent collaborations. But that's where I think some exciting demos are coming out in the space. And there are 2 ways to look at this, right? Like agents can help you as an assistant, where you can hire an army of agents, a swarm. Hey, do this for me, take this position, take out leverage out of this position, do something else. Or agents can come themselves and form entrepreneurial entities that can really do amazing stuff. So I'm most excited about that.
Briefly, I'll just say that the highest form of product market fit that I've seen is the Web3 crypto AI stack serving Web2 customers. And what I mean by that is the entire crypto AI stack in Web3 resides on top of distributed GPU DPINs. That's basically the fundamental layer for all the layers built on top of that. So the agents are being built on top of the DPINs. That's where the inference networks are being built on top of, et cetera, et cetera. And those GPU DPINs are bringing new economics to customers because they're taking advantage of underutilized compute cycles. So all of the layers on top of that are inheriting those economics. So the agents are inheriting those economics, right? The inference layers, the model hosting, the model serving frameworks, et cetera, right? And so the large market that we see is actually Web 2, because you look at kind of like what is the multi-trillion-dollar AI opportunity in the world right now that's increasing global GDP, expected to be about somewhere between 18 and 23 trillion dollars over the next 10 years, according to McKinsey, right? That opportunity is in actually Web 2. So we think the Web 3 use cases, especially for AI agents, are interesting, assuming that the crypto market grows, and we hope it all will, especially with the tailwinds we have with this new administration. That market still remains relatively small compared to the Web 2 market. So we think whenever you bring new economics to customers, when you can do things cheaper, right, that tends to have a very short sales cycle. That tends to get customers to sign pretty quickly, right, assuming it's a similar quality level of service. So that's like the fundamental thing that we know is exciting, at least at HackVC.
I think there's been a lot of really great comments already, especially I think Ed pointed out some really great trends, shifting focus back to the Web 2 market. So I'll just add a few things. I think one is a shift we see from conversational AI agents to more utility-based AI agents. So embedding machine learning models into a lot of the agents, so they're more than just a LLM chatbot. That's one thing we see. There's obviously a lot of different agent frameworks out there. The second one I would say is I still think it's a DF AI space, at least in Web3, because one of the biggest problems is basically the whole user experience in Web3 is quite bad. You have to bridge across different chains, own all these different wallets. It prevents a lot of mass adoption, and it prevents a lot of normal people from coming in and interacting with DeFi. So we've been working with a lot of different partners who have been building different prompt-based trading, swapping, different types of agents, and I still think that's one of the biggest use cases, especially in the Web3 AI space.
I think I agree with Aethir and a lot of other comments that were made. I truly think there's a lot that AI can do in the Web 2 space. We've partnered with a lot of legal tech companies, and we are trying to solve stuff for the Web 2, because in the Web 2, it's not just automation right now, right? AI, if you think about in its current sense, as good as it is, it's still just a better SaaS, right? It's still not there where we can 100x human output, right? Ideally, an agent should be able to do a marketing legal document for me, running a campaign, everything, a lot more. When we start thinking of human output and making that 100 times more, that's when we unlock maybe trillions, maybe quadrillions of dollars in economic value. So that's what I'm really excited about AI kind of reaching with the decentralized network and the agents that we are.
Yeah, I guess great points. Pretty much along the same lines, I feel marrying the Web 2 world with Web 3. This is where, especially like for Aethir also, right? Like our business revenue, 90% of it comes from the Web 2 world, right? So just the Web 2 companies, big enterprises acknowledging the Web 3 stack, that's really commendable. We have come a long way. AI agents, again, I feel it's like the Eureka moment back in the, like last cycle we had DeFi summer, right? Everybody was excited about the PMF there. That's where exactly I feel AI agents are at right now. And just building on top of like both these points, if you combine these together, what I've been observing lately is a lot of like, especially Web 2 folks, talking about this AGI stuff now, right? It's like level 5 AGI, AI agentic corporations, AI talking to each other, the entire corporations, entities built around that. This is the part I'm most excited about. It's developing like, probably it will develop really fast exponentially within the next 6 months or 1 year. We are just at like the starting point right now, but I could already see some really cool startups building it out. There's one AGI XPD that uses Aethir compute as well. So this is something this is the trend I'm seeing now, yeah.
think which after listening to the conversation, I thought of adding a couple of more points. So what we see where any Web3 companies which can serve Web2, right? So that is something it's not really happening, right? One of the interesting category which I see in the GPU, where a lot of GPU companies have started supporting, Web2 companies even, because you get an interesting bootstrap, way you can get in. So one more interesting idea what we see, how to make this model explainable. Right, the biggest challenge right now, what I see in Web2, because I know I'm very good friends with, Perplexity, Arvind, Srinivasan, those kind of guys. When we're talking about these people, about because you using the internet data and then fine tuning the model, and then because Google and YouTube or Facebook, everyone try to pay for the data in some way, right? They utilize the data. We don't care as long as we get paid. But in this case of, there is no motivation for an end blogger to write more content, because he's not going to get real traffic, because the day by day, the search engines are, the search queries moving towards, ChatGPT and other kind of platform. And then there is no explainability. The challenge in OpenAI kind of, even they not able to figure out, because the model is a black box. Once you fine tune the data, then it became black box. You can't figure out which data is really influencing the model. So, but what we believe, and then we experimented something where, the foundation model, making it more transparent and explainable is too difficult. We tried and failed, and then we understood, okay, let's take a open source, and if you build a special language model for the particular category, let's say for Web3 marketing or any other languages or any use cases, where we can figure out, let's say if we all know Web3, let's say we are all contributing the data to the particular model, and then people can use it. Someone is just starting up a new project in Web3, they may know how to start the marketing, right? If they query to OpenAI and ChatGPT, so it give a very generic response. Hey, do bounty program, do this, do that, and all. You don't really talk about the latest trend which is going on, especially the trend is on Kite AI, on Mindshares, and all these kind of factors, right? So the trend is changing. That particular relevant information is not carrying, because it's not specialized for Web3. So we believe on thesis building specialized model for each and every category will have a more impactful and making it more transparent, so that we can give motivation for more people to give a content, so that they get a, instead of simple ad drop farming, so we can trying to make it more meaningful. They can give more interesting data, whatever they read and write, and share the content. And then if it is useful, so if there is we worked on the concept called proof of attribution, where we can figure out which data is influencing the model, not in the foundation level, I mean there's a explainable model level on fine tuning data, whatever we fine tuned on top of the open source. So that is the whole understanding. We believe that we can serve Web2 people, because everyone look for hey, is there a way that I can figure out which data is influencing. It's more than a financial aspect, how to make model more efficient, right? Because you have 10 GB of data in the model, but you are only using 1 GB out of it, right? And why you want the remaining 9 GB? So if you can get this transparency, so that every model become even more efficient, right? So that is what I believe on thesis of building more specialized language models for every category and industries.
All right. A question for HackVC, but then anybody else can join into it. Basically the opposite of what I just asked before. Which vertical of AI, decentralized AI, is overhyped currently, and you don't see it has a great future?
I would say maybe a lot of meme agents and rapers who are building on top of OpenAI.
Yeah, I mean, the meme category has certainly taken a big nosedive in the last month or so. So word on the street is that it may not recover. We'll see. Too early to tell. But for a while, we were pretty skeptical on training, but we actually have come around on that concept recently. So, obviously, just for those of you in the audience, inference is actually doing the AI work to create, actual value for customers, and training is the process that happens before that to educate the models. And we kind of felt initially at HackVC that maybe training should be done in a Web 2 world, off-chain, right? What are the advantages of using Web 3? And because you have a lot of collaboration and communication challenges when you're training a model on Web 3 rails, because if you divide up a neural network across a network, right? How do you make sure that is trained in a way that that is cost-effective and that the collaboration between the nodes is efficient from a network overhead and from a storage point of view, et cetera, right? So we saw clear benefits for inference, right? Because you can take advantage of underutilized compute cycles. We weren't so sure about training. But then in the last few months, we've actually seen a few teams that have a lot of promise. where they seem to have cracked the nut in terms of creating new approaches and algorithms towards doing decentralized training, where the efficiency of the training is starting to approach Web 2 efficiencies for training. So this is a category we've actually kind of done a reverse take on, where we now think it might be possible. And again, we don't have the numbers yet because these are still experimental projects right now. But I think in the next 6 months or so, you'll start to see these teams release performance benchmarks. And the key is going to be, is the overall cost and speed to do a training cheaper and faster than in Web 2, using a traditional cloud or using CoreWeave, right? And if it is, this unlocks a whole new market for Web 3, which we're pretty excited about. And it's very hard to actually get this to work. You need to have like specialized PhD knowledge around neural networks to actually make this work. So whatever startups do crack this nut, we think will have a very, very nice defensible moat around them as well.
I can add, another thing here. I think, solely from a product perspective, I think a lot of projects out there allow you to launch agents. They allow you to own that agent. And what owning basically means is, if that agent has like 1 billion token supply, its total token is 1 billion supply, you can own it. So owning agents is like truly hyped, because agents are maybe memes, the agents are maybe doing something, but they are still represented as memes. But what do you actually do of that ownership? Like, what does that ownership actually get you, right? If you own a DeFi asset, it gets you something. It could be yield, it could be access, it could be a couple of things. So I think that part has been like very much overhyped, and like given the meme coin drawdown, I think that part is going to come down. But what I'm truly excited about is, now when somebody launches an agent and the agent has ownership tokens, I think people would be able to do something with it. Maybe talk the agent, influence its strategy, maybe get the agent to share more yields with you, do funding deals for the agent itself. I think that part I feel is very underexplored as a user feature on the front end, what the user can do, and also on the back end, I feel.
Yeah, I think all of the points I completely agree with. One more thing we've been thinking a lot about is the current state of AI agents itself, right? They're not reliable. They kind of have so much hallucination and biases going on that it's a great proof of work out there to know what agents can do, especially for the general public or the normies per se, but doesn't, as of now, can do a lot of business value or provide business stuff, right? For example, if it hallucinates in a high stakes environment like a legal or medical stuff, it can cost lives, right? Or a lot of money, or cause disbarment of the legal person. Right, so I think a lot of that is still missing, and I think it's a great proof of work, but we are not, like, this is not the end state of AI agents per se.
I think you are right. So especially this whole idea of making the model more explainable. The idea started with the healthcare, because I'm trying to work with some of the longevity projects. We are just building a special language model for them. And then we never know in what basis it's really responding to you. But ChatGPT right now, we are using it for content and blog. That is fine, right? Even it give a wrong information, still that's okay. But when you have a healthcare specific model, then you don't know like in what basis it's really responding to you. Then it became a huge challenge. I think especially but that particular healthcare basis, it's a life. It's more like a trade, and other kind of factors is completely different, right? I believe people will take first opinion with the in the healthcare models, and then before they consult even with the doctor, or they can take all the reports and then update and then try to get more information from healthcare model. If you can understand, hey, your blood test report is so that I'm explaining based on this data, so I'm explaining this, you have to do this, right? So I think that kind of explanation is key. Or else we can't really use it for some critical, especially even for a Web3 trading, right? If you give up money to AI, XBT, I take $100,000 and then do trade. In what basis he does the trade, right? Real human is doing in the back end, or like it is going to be completely verifiable, or who owns the key? And even though, right, but what decision it really based on which, let's say yesterday Binance was selling some number of there's a big huge news, they sent so much of money to Wintermute, and then market started crashing, right? All this kind of data, based on this particular data, I'm executing this trade, right? If that clarity and transparency the model have to give. I think that then only like we can believe and give $100,000 to the particular agent, right? Or else like we can't believe XPT, whatever you say, and then like me blindly believe that it won't work for a bigger institutional investment happens.
As the last question, I think, to the whole panel again, everybody I think agrees on agentic, that agents are going to roam the chains and execute transactions, do tasks for us. How do we put checks and balances in place? Are there any ways to make sure that there's security and reliability currently in place for this to actually work? Yeah, anybody has any points there?
Maybe I think we all know the recent hack, right? So that we lost 1.2 billion. Whatever technology you build, at the end of the day, human is going to execute and approve things, right? Always human can do mistakes, and it is not like a new type of attack or like just some kind of great guys who are doing it, right? They act the system, and then like whoever is having the approval mechanism, they act the system, right? So even I lost some money because they act my system. So like if the system get hacked, how it able to possible? Because the phishing attacks and everything, right? So that is a way. So human always do mistakes, right? So you can't really only depend upon human, because the final decision making is always going to be human. But I think these agents will act as additional support for us to make sure, okay, you are approving the right contract. I'm able to check the backend, because the front end looks very similar, right? You approved it, and then like in backend you need additional confirmation from AI agent, and then like it may save us from losses, I believe, right? Because or else like this will really encourage more DEX trading, or people really scare about doing a DEX trading because of so much of this kind of factors, right? So maybe I think AI agent can more act as a co-pilot for us to do the trading, is what I believe.
I think I'll give a very product-centric, answer to this. I truly believe if I own an AI agent, I should be able to govern it in some way. So I'll give an example here. We are launching one of the first companies on our platform that's totally agentic. It's going to be a hedge fund where one hedge fund CEO takes the call on what trades it needs to make on Hyperliquid, and it is talking to 3 other agents. These agents are completely autonomous. They are figuring out the strategy by themselves at lightning speed, right? Because they are discussing this within milliseconds. But the users who own or depositors into this hedge fund should get some ability to talk to the agent. So I think when we talk in terms of like safe checks and guardrails, I think some guardrails are technical, like they are at the model level, they are maybe at the orchestration level, like do you have a TE or not. But I think one guardrail we are also missing is that how involved is the community, and how easy have we made it for the community to be involved with the agent. Because if the community says that a hype at 18 is like a really good shot and I want to do a 10x on it, who am I to say no to it? If the depositors of the fund do think that is a good way to go about. So the agent could ask the community that, hey, should this be done, yes or no? And that could be an active governance proposal. I think a lot of, I think AI would be like genuinely impactful towards DAOs, because it will take human emotion out of DAOs in a way. Like if you say that, okay, this is a good path to go with, the agent is going to execute on that. There is nothing to follow up on. There's nothing to, project manage there. You can have active participation in everything that the agent is doing. I think that is a great guardrail that can be used and be beneficial to all users.
When we think about AI agents in the Web3 context, we actually see 2 possible futures. One possible future is a set of crypto-native AI agents that could be themselves tokenized as a business model that exist on top of GPU DPINs and are more efficient, right? That's one possible world. And those agents would be trained on a domain-specific model for Web3. And the reason why is because it reduces your error rate, improves your accuracy, reduces hallucinations. It remains to be seen whether the hallucinations can be brought down to 0 or not. So this is why like the idea of a co-pilot, which you mentioned earlier, is a really strong idea, because then you actually have a human in the loop that's approving the recommendations that the AI agents make. It makes the AI agents slightly less autonomous, but it adds security. And when it comes to financial transactions, I think that kind of matters. Like if you think about it, like imagine if you're building a startup that's creating DeFi-centric AI agents. If you have even one incident of a hallucination or something that's slightly inaccurate, and someone tweets about it, it's going to scare all the other customers away from using your platform, right? So even if you're 99.9% accurate, right, that 0.1% might kill your protocol, right? Just because of the squeaky wheel problem, right? Of that guy being a PR problem, right? So that's why we think this Copilot idea is really interesting. And the other idea that's interesting is the idea of another AI model that kind of inspects the recommended action that first AI agent makes. And it has to be a different model, because if it's the same model, then it's gonna think, oh, that's a great outcome, right? Because it was trained in the same way as that first AI agent was. So it has to be a different model, right? Trained differently with a different set of parameters, right? So the other possible feature that we see is Web 2 AI agents that sit on top of Web 3 GPU DPINs. See what I'm saying? Because there's a whole bunch of startups right now in the Web 2 world that are trying to build agents, right? That are sitting on top of OpenAI, and it's a very well-funded category in venture capital. So it's going to be interesting to see, are those Web 2 AI agents going to be trained on Web 3, right? Is that going to be the data ingest for them so that they can also serve the Web 3 domain? Or will it be the Web 3 native AI agents that dominate within the Web 3 world? We don't know yet. It could be a little bit of both. So that's kind of the features that we're seeing.
First of all, I'm definitely not a security expert. But I would say that if you look at what happened in the last week, the first thing that I would think about as every single project is, first of all, you need to build a security team. You need a security head right away. You need to think about how to build redundancies into your processes, all of your tech systems. You need to think about all the points of interaction with your partners and what are the potential vulnerabilities. And then the final thing I would think about is potentially hiring somebody who's almost like a hacker into your team who can, I think you should essentially, you might need to think that at some point you will have some type of security breach. And so you need somebody who can basically crack into all of your systems and then basically design for how to make it safer.
That's all of them are great answers. I think, again, I do not know enough about security, but let me touch on the reliability aspect of the conversation that we were at, right? Going back to, I think, a lot of points that Ed made is making me really excited, because that's exactly what Mira is solving, right? We are looking at, can we create a consensus between different diverse models and get a verified output back to the user, right? So any for a Web 2 agent, Web 3 agent, doesn't matter. For all they need to do is maybe replace kind of the API and get a better answer to the agents. That's why agents in its current state are unreliable, and you need some a better consensus or verified truth to it, which can get by diverse models using Web3 GPUs, etc., and a lot of other. It's essentially wisdom of the world, right? You're just kind of aggregating and saying, okay, there's a Venn diagram between what this model says and this model says, so we can come closer to the truth. But yeah, so that's something that I think really needs to happen for us to move towards at least autonomous AI, right? Where AI agents can take a lot more decisions by themselves. Yeah.
Yeah, I think great question. I think this question arises because of the stage we are at in terms of development in the agent market, right? I think it's been pretty much covered exactly the problems and how it could be solved. I'll take a different spin on it. The way I see it is where is the future going, right? So as we touched upon AGI, basically I'd like to break it down into 3 different parts. Let's think of the first one as your, so what happens with AI is you're trying to attract mindshare, right? Maybe manipulate the markets or whatever. So think of it from a framework perspective. One is, let's say you have a framework, which is the intel or the mind behind whatever is going on, right? Second is the agents that are getting spun out. Now, these are the ones who act as KOLs. Currently, you don't even know, are these actual agents or are these random humans working behind the scenes, right? These are the second part who try to manipulate that market using that intel. And the third part could be in the financial world, you're merging it, let's say an AI fund or whatever, right? What I feel is in future, once you have the infra entirely open source, permissionless, currently all the frameworks out there, they don't really launching AI agents or whatever. It's just launching a token, right? And they call it, you have this AI agent framework, but that's not the case. But in future, once you have all these 3 things broken down properly, what happens is now you have to think, the framework is already there, everything is open in the public, how are you using the AI agent, right? The good thing is we are Web3. So it's not Web 2 that you have the entire control, the agents have the entire control, right? You can set all the parameters, how much access to give, what really you are trying to get out of this agent. Let's say in DeFi or DeFi, I don't even know what to call it. You literally like set, right? Okay, I'm borrowing this asset on one chain, I lend this asset on another chain, this threshold is met, my asset is liquidated, so you have to act before that, whatever, right? Very simple example. That's how it could be like integrated into every other crypto niche. And all the parameters are up to you, right? How much access you want to give. Is it just working as a helper with you in the background, or just executing everything, right? So thinking from a future perspective, I think that's where we are headed. So not really too worried about the security aspect there.
Thanks, everybody. We are out of time. Give it up for the panel.
That was awesome. That was like one of the best panels I've seen, to be honest. Like, just want to say that.
Mr. A.